All right, welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Media Pass. And today's special, I'm stoked. I'm really stoked on this one. I'm assuming you already know who it is by the name of the episode. So yeah, Chris is one of those guys who has put in dubious amounts of work, and it shows. Passion, good work ethic are so rare, and a lot of times they're portrayed. And when you see someone like Chris around you, you can't not get inspired. I personally think that it might have something to do with the fact that he's always wanted to be behind a camera, a videographer, cinematographer. He came from another career, like a lot of us, and sat at work, I imagine, dreaming of holding a camera. But Chris actually made it happen, and having been through a similar journey, I have nothing but respect for that. And yeah, Chris, let's get to it. Tell me everything. How are you?
Okay, so let's get into the thought process behind how I put together my office here.
And ever since I saw it the first time, I've been really interested in trying this technique out myself.
5 ways to instantly make better videos that you can start doing today.
What actually constitutes a transition?
Oh, let's go!
Wow, thanks for the intro. That's incredible. I'm happy to be here, and I'm very grateful for where I am today, and thank you so much for the kind words. That's awesome. I've
been meaning to say it for a long time, man, because it's awesome. I've watched your work for a while now, and it's honestly crazy how much you've stepped up in every single video, every single post. So yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks so much. And it's one of those things, like, and I'm sure you're the same way, and just like everybody else. Like, I look at my stuff and I'm like, oh man, like so many times, like you always think it could be better every single time, right? So especially like posts or any videos you make, any of the commercials I've done or anything at all, you always think it could be better. So you have no idea what anybody else is thinking, especially a professional like you. Like, I have no idea what anybody thinks out there other than,
I couldn't relate to it more. I think that's a good quality. Yeah. Because otherwise I'm the exact same way. I haven't ever really been happy with a video as soon as I like post it. You know what I mean? I'm like picking it apart. Could do this that way, this that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always good to have an outside perspective and hear it. So yeah, I just wanted to say it.
Yeah, but my mom says I'm good, so then that's fine, right? Doesn't that mean
exactly right? That's all that matters.
But I mean, that means nothing, right? So,
so let's get the first 3 questions out of the way. I ask these to everyone. What camera? Mainly, I mean, all of us use a variety of cameras, but what's your main camera body? What's your editing software of choice? And are you a Mac or PC guy?
My main camera body is the Sony FX3. I really love the Sonys, just the flexibility and the ease of use. And then my current backup personally is the FX30. And it used to be the A7 III. I had that for years. It was actually pretty hard to eventually sell it. It just sat there. It was like, sold to some kid really cheap. He was very happy. I just passed it down basically, and felt pretty good about that. But yeah, that was such a hard camera to let go. The A7 III was, I had that for years, for a couple years anyway, and just
still one of my favorites.
Yeah, right. It's just a good. I'll probably get another one day, honestly, just for the heck of it. But yeah. FX3 is absolute gem. I love it. It does everything I could possibly need, right from just Instagram posts all the way up to films that have been on a big screen. So yeah, I really like it. And editing software is Premiere Pro mainly. For pretty much Adobe everything. I have the Adobe suite and I like using that. I'm just used to it. I know a lot of people have switched to Vinci. Final Cut I've used before. I'm not a huge fan of Final Cut other than some color grading. That's like maybe a little easier to use, but other than that, I'm just used to Premiere. I think that's the thing, right? I'm so used to it now, it's hard to switch over to something else.
100%, yeah.
And what was the last question?
Just Mac.
I'm Mac guy. I'm a Mac guy for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Nice, yeah,
all the way, like everything.
AirDrop can't complain.
Yeah, right. I know, it's kind of one of those things. Once I switched over to iPhone, 10 or 15 years ago or something, I just never went back. Mac books and iPhones and iPads, and I got a Mac Studio at home for editing. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, combining everything and having having everything just team up and work well together is what I've found works
just seems easy
so nicely.
I'm just annoyed with Microsoft stuff, right? I don't know. Everyone's got their thing, right?
Why
just
make your life hard? Yeah.
Right. I just
Not
find
that Microsoft makes it hard, but
Yeah.
just having a variety of different platforms on, iOS devices.
Right? Yeah.
So when did you pick up a camera? I know the answer to this. I know you're gonna say I've always been like a photography creative mindset. There's no way you haven't been. But yeah, when do you officially think that you picked up a camera?
I feel like when I was officially said this is what, like when I really fell in love with it was I was working at a dealership. You talked about previous career. Can I get into that a little bit?
I love it. That's my next question.
Yeah, so my previous career, I was in the automotive industry, and I've been in that for years, to over 20 years now. So service advisor, worked at managed different shops, and then in service manager at a dealership for 5-6 years. And that's when I eventually bought a camera. Not my first. I got a story behind that for later, but the T3i, Canon T3i, that was one of my first cameras. And that's when I really started to make videos and make YouTube videos, and then myself started making YouTube videos and things like that. And that's when I don't know if this is, but obviously started to watch Peter McKinnon, like many others, and then just really fell in love.
Who's that?
Who's Peter McKinnon? Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah, so
I have a funny story really quick.
Yeah.
I've never told this. I was just having drinks with friends like a long time ago, and I was like, "Oh, we're in Toronto. I think Peter McKinnon's having an event. I want to go." They were like, "They're not photographers or videographers." They're like, "Who's that?" And I just assumed that everyone knows who he is. Anyway, it's just pretty funny.
you would think everybody does in this, even in close to this industry. You'd think everyone would know.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Yeah. So how did that lead into your YouTube journey? Because I've got so many questions about your just YouTube presence, I guess. And
so YouTube I did for a while. That's kind of really when I fell in love with it, started doing it, and just like anybody else that does YouTube, I kind of did a little bit of everything. I did this and then that, and then tried my own tutorials, and then this, and then product reviews, and you never really know what you want to do and what clicks and what doesn't. I tried like everything, and then like I even have a YouTube channel now currently that we still sort of have, and we're a Tilta affiliate, and I've got some Tilta reviews I started on there. Same as many others. I kind of lost some time for that, and I'll get back into it eventually, but for now focused on the business. But I don't know. I did a little bit of everything. Most of it was around automotive in the beginning, I would say. Like we had a sort of a podcast in the very beginning, and kind of started talking about like service stuff because I was in the industry. So I had a couple other people, and I would do like car reviews and talk about service and tips for service and all this stuff. Like just lots of car stuff in the beginning, like lots of it. And it was always random car stuff and everything. And then slowly just got into other stuff, and then fell in love with the gear and the reviews and everything, and kind of just slowly turned over to that. And then it was all about cameras and everything. Dropped the whole car thing altogether. Had to go on and unfollow all the car stuff I was following to make room for all the camera people and the camera stuff, right? You know how it goes.
I know how that goes. Yeah, exactly.
But,
no, that's cool, man. Because I've watched so many of those videos, especially like over the last few years as well. And I think I've seen a few of them before we even connected. Yeah, I just think it's so interesting how, I guess was that where you fell in love with just holding a camera, being a videographer at that point, I guess? Yeah. Let's talk about the role name.
The role name, because when you first sent me the invite or whatever, I thought it was just one of those things, because some of the other filmmakers, whatever, that I hang out with and work with, we always joke, like, I hate that term videographer. Don't call me a videographer, like, because it's just a different thing, right? And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it at all. It's just, I feel that there's a difference, right? Like a videographer, you go out, you do the...
I would call you a cinematographer or filmmaker.
Yeah, like, because that's my goal and that's my thing. Is like, I want to make
It reflects in the
films
work
and
as well,
documentaries
so.
and commercials, things like that. And I like being hired as a DOP and right, and I'll have.
I think it's pretty obvious
right?
when you like look at someone's timeline, for example, whether they're a videographer or filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean like one pays more or is better or different. Like nothing like that at all, right? It just
It's a
means
total
that,
stylistic
like,
choice,
It's a
'cause,
different
like,
thing. Yeah,
It's
fully.
just a
Yeah,
different thing. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a funny, it's just funny how artists get annoyed by little things. But yeah,
Yes,
I totally
exactly.
see
Yeah,
where it's coming from, because I've chosen being a videographer, where I think that means kind of you're focused on social media
and you're
content.
awesome at it.
And
Yeah, yeah.
thank you very much, obviously. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then filmmaking and is a lot more just creative approach at the lighting and just taking your time and just having a much more of a catered idea and then creating the shot versus what can I create of what's happening.
And it's like a group thing too. Like, so if you're making a film, whether it's an indie film or a big film, whatever it is, you got between 10 and 300 people that are all getting together to create one thing. So everyone's syncing together to come up with this one end result. So like that's the biggest difference is I love the planning. I'm a spreadsheet person. Everything I have is on either spreadsheets or Milanote. I must have 50 Milanote boards going now at least,
service
right? And I
advisor
just
days.
keep starting new ones all the time. Always Milanote boards because I like to organize everything. So that's why filmmaking, like for me, and commercials, things that are planned. I did one of my one or two events recently, and it doesn't mean I won't do it for anybody listening that needs an event done. I won't turn it down if it's like structured, but I don't like unplanned things where it's like just show up and just do whatever you can get and put something together.
I think I've mentioned this with a previous guest, but I call it candid shooting. I don't know if it's like the right
Totally,
name for it.
right? I don't know if I don't want to say I'm not good at it, but it's like I just like planning. And Jen going, okay, this is our shot list. We're going to get this, and everything changes. I mean, no matter what, there's always problems.
It's a totally different approach.
Come up.
It's a
It
totally
always
different
changes.
approach to creating a video for sure.
Exactly. So
talk about your team. Like, and I know you've worked on a variety of crews, and I wanted you to talk about that as well. But I know you work with a set few people. So talk about that and your decision, I guess, to work with people.
Yeah, I would say the two people I work with the most. First, I want to mention Avi. Avi creates on Instagram. He is absolutely amazing human. Just bumped into him randomly through another friend. Just someone was buying a camera or something, and then said, "Oh, you do videos? Oh, so does Chris. Here you go. You guys should connect." And then I bumped into him, and he's the one that actually helped me with so many things. Like he is really smart, really good with cameras and color grading. Like he gets right into the grid of everything. He's so good with that stuff and really has taught me so much. And he's the one that actually switched my mindset and changed everything. And that's like the moment I feel like I changed from videographer and like YouTuber kind of guy to filmmaker and cinematographer, because what he got me to do actually worked really, really well. And what he did in the past, and the reason he learned so much so quickly, was he said, get hired for film sets. Legit, real, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? You can be a PA, it doesn't matter. Just pay attention to what you want to pay attention to. Do your job, but you can talk to the camera crew. You can talk to, all the crews and maybe not the director, depending on how big the film is, but if you're paying attention, right, you can learn so much so fast about how the processes and everything works, right? So I didn't get right into, like he worked on some really big film sets back in Toronto. I didn't get right into that yet. I've been on some Hallmark sets locally, but I haven't worked on any. But what I did was the next best thing, which was indie films. So I found some forums locally, and some people were always posting about indie films locally, and someone invited me eventually and said, hey, I need a second AC. And of course, like I said, this is the moment I changed from cinematographer or videographer to cinematographer. When she said second AC, I said, what's that? I don't know what that is, right? So I'm like, okay, so I research and I'm on Google and I'm looking at what's a second AC? What is this?
Fake
and at
it
the
till you
time I
make
had
it.
no idea, right? So I had no idea. So she knew those, right? And I told her, hey, this is my thing, but I love cameras.
It's a great mindset to get in to learn the proper way to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I said, I'm a total nerd. I am a gear nut. I will, and I'm a fast learner. You just send me what you want to send me. So she sent me links of exactly what on YouTube of exactly what a second AC does. And what a second AC does is they run the slate and you mark down the slate and you're the one that says, scene one, take two, action, right? And you're going to run the slate and you're going to mark all the actors. So you have little T's and pieces of tape, all the different colored tape on your belt. And you help the first AC set up the camera, the batteries, you swap memory cards, swap lenses, all that kind of stuff. So the first AC technically is the focus puller and also, really builds the camera, right? And you're the second backup for him, as well as running the slate and marking for actors. So she showed me those videos and I watched them all like 10 times. She also told me we're shooting on a red Raptor and a red Komodo. So she said, research this too. So I watched 100 videos on red cameras and everything. And when I got there, I roughly knew how to do some stuff and hook everything up and everything. And then after I did that film, and from then I did a bunch more indies. And by the third one, I knew exactly what I was doing. And I just showed up and set up the camera and did whatever we needed to do when she needed to do it. It was great. And then now I've taken everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the passion and the work ethic I was talking about in the intro. Because, I mean, a lot of people will say they do something like that, but it's different to put in those hours because I know what it takes and what you're talking about, where this is the job and learn what to do before you arrive.
Yeah, it's the Gary Vee way. I straight up went and worked for free, 15-hour days, mind you. Most film sets are 12 to 15-hour days, right? So super long days. You're there bright and early and you leave when it's dark and pack up when it's pitch black, right? So, but I did all that and I learned, and then I took all those processes that I learned and implemented them into my own commercials. And that's how I feel like we are where we are today. Not like we have a lot to improve on and get better on the marketing side of things, but our flow and our process and everything came from film. And then we implemented it into our exact commercials. It's the same thing. It's just written differently, right?
I love it. I love it. So when people ask you, would you do spec work in the past? What's your answer?
I will, and believe it or not, that is something we have planned for this year. A lot more. We have 2 or 3 that are written already and ready to go. I have a writer who I'll mention in a second because I talked about Avi. I have somebody else that I work with a lot who I respect greatly. And spec work for sure, 100%. I haven't done it myself, like fully spec ad, and there's a couple different approaches to doing a spec ad. Maybe we could talk about this stuff in a totally different episode, but yeah, like for sure, do spec stuff, totally different thing altogether. Yeah, for sure. So I will get into the other. I was just going to talk about Jackie, who is the other person, because you asked originally about who I work with, right? Avi is amazing. He's taught me so much, and I respect him greatly. The other one is Jackie. She's the owner of Rebel Productions, a local up-and-coming production company, and her and her partner, Lindsay, she's incredibly talented. Jackie, art director, writer, director. She also works as a props master and other positions in Hallmark Films locally. So she has so much knowledge on film sets, so I learn a lot from her as well. And she's an extremely talented writer. So she's helping to write some of our commercials and spec ads and other my documentaries that we have coming up that are happening this year. So I'm so grateful to have met her as well, because I really think that this year things like spec ads and docs are going to really change things for us.
Mm-hmm. We've spoken about a spec project that we we may be doing this summer or something like that. So I think for like a creator, it's so not important, but just something to think about if you're not doing is teaming up with people. Just imagine being able to not worry about the copy just in general. I really can respect your approach to this. And I know it's a bit of a different path that we're on. But I love hearing you talk about it. Can you talk about like the hurdles of just being a general creative person and then adding on those hurdles of being a business owner and how branching out from a solo perspective to a team, how that's kind of affected things?
I would say the first one, I mean, it's obvious, right? Is money. I mean, man, it's expensive to do this as a business, especially the direction that we're going, right? Because I'm trying to, I'm really learning a lot about rentals, I guess, which really, really helps that out and building projects budget-wise that way. But I would say money and trying to fit that into my family as well, because this type of job really, really takes a lot of time, like a lot, and time goes by quickly. Like I could be sitting here for just trying to put one storyboard together and 10 hours will be gone just like that. And I'll be like
4:30 a.m.
And I didn't even go talk to my family at all that day, right? And yeah, exactly, right. And I'm like, oh right, yeah, family. So
yeah,
I think it's a huge, right. It's the work-life balance is tough in this industry for sure. It takes a lot of time.
It's funny because I was watching probably maybe we've all seen, but at Christmas, but Charles Dickens' story, and I don't think it's just a creative. I think it's like a general artist lifestyle. I don't like to like use that word. It sounds weird, but I could relate to him in the movie. He was just trying to sit down and write, and he was just getting interrupted by his whatever's happening that day, and it just takes you out of the mindset of the creative path that you're on. And when you're not interrupted, 10 hours, like you said, it sounds crazy to somebody who may not be doing it, but it's realistic. It's crazy.
Right? Yeah, it does. It takes so much time.
What are your tips? And I know this is like a huge conversation, a very long conversation, but what are some general tips for people who are trying to approach bigger companies for just general work? Because you've done it. So
yeah.
I mean, what are some tips that you would have?
I have, and I think I'm right. I'm actually right in the middle right now, currently, like straight up. And there's two reasons why I just haven't done a lot of social media lately. One is I took some vacation time, did my thing or whatever, and I'm just getting back at it. And January is usually a little slower, so that's a perfect time. But like, I think just like cold reaching out and networking, like the old school, like raw, I really learned that those big decision maker business owners, unfortunately, and I mean, there's going to be a million people that are going to tell me I'm wrong or whatever. And I'm not saying don't do social media. I'm trying to do it as much as possible. It's very important. Everybody does. And all the, very successful people do all the time. And I'm going to continue to do it. But I also think like LinkedIn and networking events, like I just went to an event and did some networking at a fundraiser. I must have got like 7 or 8 business cards for people that are interested in doing work with us either this year, right? So, I mean, I've done tons of social media with lots of followers, and I've never gotten that within 1 hour, ever. 7, you know what I mean? Like 7 connections for people, and we're talking about the directors and CEOs.
The old approaches are honestly,
a business card, right?
Like, they work for a reason.
Exactly, and that doesn't mean that social media doesn't work, because it does, and it's very important to keep doing it all the time. But I think this year, like I'm gonna really focus on my email list and my networking and my LinkedIn and just cold outreach and things like that. So I think people should always have a balance. Yes, keep your social media going, have that going, get a good routine, show what you can do. Don't just do the flashy reels of just your stuff. I think behind the scenes is very important. I think I've got more 100%. Comments than anything on people seeing you do it, right? Not just the cool video and the end result, but I think a business owner seeing that happening physically and seeing you like perform professionally in what you're doing, right? I think that's really important. All those things, right? So
100% agree. Okay, so you said you've shot a few events recently, kind of like event style. I'm just curious and I'm sure a lot of people are listening. When you arrive at a place like that for like a same day, what's your approach? Do you have a shot list before? Do you like to go scout the place beforehand, or are you just going to go run and gun?
Like I've only done like 2 event style things, and I don't know if I mentioned it properly or whatever. I don't think I kind of wrapped
because
around.
Of being someone who's so organized and takes a different approach. Normally,
I think that's why I don't like it, or maybe I just did it wrong. Like we had the first one we did was at a fundraiser, and the first one we did was at a fundraiser, and we were more hired to make all the content for the event. I think this is why we were so kind of unorganized, and we were hired to make the content for the event. And by that, I mean, we made all this stuff. They gave us some footage. I had to go shoot an actual, like these kids that are country singers. So I had 24 hours to quickly come up with an idea for a music video and then go out to their farm. Beautiful farm, like absolutely incredible. And they were really good. And we went out, shot this music video. So I had to put that together. And then I had to put a couple other videos together, and then they sent me footage. So we made all the content for it. And then when we went to go set up and have our laptop and like play the stuff on this big screen behind them for the fundraiser, he's like, well, can you like shoot some video too while you're here and like cover the event and put something together? And okay, so didn't really have a huge amount of planning. So then that was the first event thing I ever did. And
yeah,
I was
I've
like,
definitely been in that scenario
this sucks,
before.
right? Like to me, I was like, I don't like, I'm just running around like, oh my God, and like people are drunk and stuff and whatever. I don't know. It wasn't that, they weren't like drunk, like bad or anything, but like, it was just, I was like, this is not my thing. I don't like this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just running around with a camera, right? So
it's the old wedding reception.
Yeah, right. I've never done a wedding. I don't know if I ever will. So I don't know. It's just not my thing, really. I think, and that being said, I have another one for the same company and same event, much bigger this year coming up. And we're already planning, and it's in mid-June. So I think it'll be a lot better because I'm planning now, like months ahead. So we're going to be a lot more prepared, and we're going to hire camera operators and other people to come and help us. So yeah, so I think that'll be better. But I mean, technically, it's not really my thing. I'm not in love with it. But we'll see how that one goes. And then maybe I'll make my decision if I'm ever going to do events as a thing on my website.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well.
You know?
But yeah, that's very funny to hear because
planning.
I can relate to so many things you're saying.
Right?
So kind of, it's not necessarily about events that I'm talking here for this question, but
okay.
It's such a wide question. But let's just talk about your content on kind of like the stuff on LinkedIn. Like I know you put it on Instagram stories and stuff as well, but you'll know what I'm talking about. What's your approach to just like a single stool and lighting that scene?
Oh, okay. I mean, it's just been a learning curve.
There's so many different approaches, and I'm learning so much about lighting, more and more recently. So I think, just for people who want to learn about lighting, what's the first thing you do? Are you turning off all the lights, getting a controlled light like setting, or are you setting your ISO to? Yeah, you tell me. What are you doing first?
I mean, I don't get that crazy technical with something that's not that big. It all depends on the size of the project and how much time I have. But I always like doing with any project a site visit. Especially if it's like a paid thing and we're doing this thing, one, maybe two. That recent, like the post maybe you're talking about, we, shot the pre-content for a documentary, and that's like the bonus stuff. TELUS wants you to do bonus content on top of it, and you shoot the bonus content first. It's kind of a weird way to do it, but that's how we do it. So we went and did these interviews or whatever for the documentary, and I did 2 site visits because I didn't know at the time if I was going to be there at the day or at night. So I was like, okay, so we went kind of later in the day, and then we went early in the morning. So lighting was okay no matter what. it was pretty good. But so I just brought 2 lights and a couple bounce, which I didn't even use, right? I didn't need any grip gear at all. I really just set up a light for that one. But I mean, every scenario is a little bit different, but I kind of just go and gauge it and see. Like, obviously in some cases you're going to have a grip team with you and somebody, you know, like an LX and lighting person that's going to know what they're doing. But in this case, in a lot of cases, we just kind of do it ourselves. And I'm kind of just going by the camera, and I'm a graph person. I really like, there's a little, I don't even know what it's called on the camera, on the Sony, and other than the graph, keeping things right along 80 for your peaks. Well, there's like a little number there, and it's like if it's at 2, I don't know what the number is referring to,
meter.
right? Yeah, exactly, right? And if it's like 1.7,
yeah.
it's like perfect every single time, right? So
yes, dream.
I kind of go by that, and then I'm at the same time I'm on my we have 2 Ninjas, 3 if Abby has one too. So I'm using that all the time with my graph, making sure everything is not too overexposed that way, right? But I mean, every scenario is so different, so you never really know until you get there, and you can pre-plan all you want. It is. It's such a hard thing.
It's just one of those things that I have so much respect for. And I love the lighting in all of your videos. Yeah. But those pieces of content, especially, I just thought it was such and by the sounds of it, good use of not a large amount of gear and not too many lights. And just, I think like the more and more content I see, I like that look more.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'd say the biggest thing with lighting with anybody is, especially if you have like a big, that one we got lucky because we had huge open windows, floor to ceiling, like restaurant, and huge all the way to the top, right? So it's perfectly even light. The only problem is, obviously, with clouds and things, light can change. So you got to always have that backup light that's going to keep things even. So that's really all we set up there. That light was at like 30%, not even. It was only to keep things even on that one you're talking about with that dock, right? But we got lucky in that case, and it didn't really even change much, right? It's funny because like every
story I hear behind lighting choices is always so minimal, and that's always the story behind the results that I like the look of.
Yeah, right. And yeah, a lot of times I think next time I'll probably bring a big sheet. I don't know if you know who Mark Bone is, but I'm a huge fan of Mark Bone. I've binge watched everything he's done probably 2 or 3 times, right?
Amazing.
So he's got some really good lighting tips, right? So yeah, filmmaker. Yeah, he probably wouldn't call him a videographer. He'll get pissed too, I bet.
Yeah, no, I think he's past that.
Right? So yeah, so every scene is everything is different, right? I mean, before that, I shot a lot of stuff outside. So there's a whole other beast. Like with that commercial we did, which one of my favorites would be for Stratus. We did one for Stratus. So we did a couple for them. We did one recently, and it was everything was outside. So we're chasing shadows is what I call it, right? And because it was like 35 degrees out and sun at the top all the time, like it was, and obviously we could have shot a lot of it in golden hour, but I mean, that's tough to do sometimes when you have so many scenes to do. Like we would have had to do 4 different days, right? So we only had, an actor, a girl that got hired for this, and then the owner who was our other actor, and we had the 1 day to shoot it. That's it. So when we had so many scenes to shoot, we don't have a choice, right? I can't. So I chase shadows and go, okay, well, we're going to do this biking scene. I don't want it in the beating hot sun, or all the reflections off the bike and the helmet and everything are going to look terrible. So we found a spot that we knew of that had really good shadows under all the trees. So we get the nice bright light, but we're under the trees for all the shots that we want to use,
controlled
right?
Lighting, yeah.
So that's what I've done with cars and everything too, because with cars outside, a lot of the times, if it's beating hot sun, you're screwed. It's just reflections. It looks terrible, like on the car, the glass, everything. It's just, it doesn't always look great, right? So in this case,
I find this is personal. I find, beating hot sun, cloudless sky, the hardest time to shoot.
100%, right? When it's the only option.
It's the classic conversation from weddings back in the day where the uncle would come up and just say, "Oh, what a beautiful day to shoot some photos and videos."
No, it's not.
And I love the overcast. Like, I don't want this.
Exactly. So that's when in those scenarios, which I've had a few times with cars, and now with someone running, biking, swimming, everything, is we were chasing shadows and trying to find shadowy areas. And we went ahead of time, a few days before that, to scout and find places that were at those times of day. I must have gone to these locations like 3 different times going, okay, well, this one's going to be at 8 o'clock, this one's going to be at 9 o'clock, and then we're going to be at the lake swimming at this time, and then we're going to be here at this time, and then really had to organize the entire thing to make sure we were in the shadows most of the time with lots of light still.
Yeah,
so
preparing for a sunset shoot is impossible.
Right?
Because you can't really scout the sunset.
Yeah, it's fine for a few shots, like your final drone shot or your, morning, a bit of B-roll or whatever for those morning shots or whatever. That's fine. You can do golden hour for that, and that's great. But what about everything else? You got a full day of shooting to do, right? So I've got a few questions. I like to dive outside of just like the industry, I guess. So what are some hobbies that you have outside of video? None. Almost none. I'm not kidding at all. I used to be into...
I know. I'm the same.
I don't. I used to be, cars and things like that. I used to have, I've gone through all my Hondas and done swaps and
filming cars,
everything and stuff like that. But, I did that. I was into fish tanks for a long time, for years, way, way back in the day. But then when I got into this, I dropped absolutely everything and I have nothing. That's it. I love camera gear. I build random things for no reason. I got that trike that I built, and I'm building a new one this year that's going to be electric.
I love that thing.
Well, I'm building a new one because it's not heavy enough.
I'm going to ask you questions about that. Yeah, we got to. You tell me about the trike.
Yeah. So the trike. I mean, I absolutely love the Hydra Alien kit that I have that you have borrowed or rented, and so. For walk and talks and for running, biking, skateboarding, all those things, I tried to film. I did film someone biking one time on a bike with our car, but then I was like, well, what if I want to film someone mountain biking or skateboarding or running and I can't film someone running in our car. Like, what if you're doing a big film set and you have permits and stuff, that's fine.
But
when you don't, you're doing our kind of stuff, right? It's not going to work. So we wanted to make something that can go on pathways and boardwalks and anywhere we want, really, and film running, biking, whatever. So we got this trike. I bought it for like a song, like nothing, like $50. It was broken. I fixed it. And being a trike, I made like this platform that I could mount the Hydra Alien kit to it and the camera and everything behind it. And being that it's a trike, it's not going to fall over or anything. And yeah, we use that, and then the wireless kits and everything that we have go far enough that we can get the shots we want, and the director or whoever, the director now becomes the camera person, and holds on to it, and just it's portable with this handheld thing. So it has the monitor and stuff on there.
I'm so surprised I haven't seen more of those types of builds or like a proper like kit that you could buy that you've built. It's just such a good piece of kit.
Big film industries have them a lot, and they have 4 wheels or they're carts that they push, and like golf carts are really popular.
Yeah, I'm just picturing the 4-wheelers, I guess, and like the bigger versions.
Yeah, and they have that, and obviously you've seen like crane and everything. Like they've done like crazy, off-road ones and everything with the big cranes on top of them and everything. Like those things are nuts, right? But I'm hoping to build a nice one this year. A massive car crane is the dream. But that's why I love the trike, though, because as you're talking about, there's so many situations where that's the perfect piece, in my opinion. Yeah.
Like a downtown running shot. I think you shot it with. And it was never going to get the crane out.
No. And there was a lot of cars where we shot too, where we were chasing shadows, but we're exactly where we wanted to shoot it, where we're like, this is perfect. It's downtown, so it's like all these cars are parked along there. So I couldn't even do it with the car if I wanted to. So we got the bike and straight up went in the bike lane while she jogged down the sidewalk. It was perfect. It worked out so well. So
it's the passion thing again, because like so many people would just... Yeah, see that as okay.
Run, I guess you could run, and I mean,
go that whole aspect. That's not going to happen. Or okay, we do that aspect. We do the running, but yeah, you're just making the best actually the best out of a situation.
Yeah, and being that it's my hobby, I took the time to make a thing, right? So it's like that was I wanted to build that because I'm a total nerd and I like to make things. So, and this year we're gonna make a new Velocipede, and that's what we call it, anyways. The Velocipede 2.0, and that will be electric. So there's some a few different bikes you can get that are not stupid expensive or anything. A couple grand or whatever, like $2,500 was the cheapest I found, and it's good enough, right? And it's going to be electric, and it's much heavier, so it's not going to bounce around as much. The shake left and right is what kills you with that. With the heavier bike, it's not going to do that, so it should work really well.
I'm super excited to see that. That's really cool. Okay, so what? Yeah, I know which one it isn't probably, but what's like your favorite industry or favorite thing to shoot and create for? So whether it be, I'm imagining your answer is going to be film or something like that, but what type of project?
It's actually changed a lot in the last while. Like my life changed a lot in the last few years when I became sober and, more truthful with everything, not to get too deep into that stuff. But before it used to be like action in cars, and I still like doing the action stuff and the moving stuff. Obviously, that's why I make things and like the car rigs and stuff like that. I love doing fast moving things. At the same time, my new obsession is kind of documentaries, and I really, really want to make, and that's one of the plans I have this year, documentaries that tell really good stories and help people, or help people at least understand really good things, if that makes sense. For instance, like one of the docs is the Umbrella of Hope, and it's like about industries or like companies that help people with addiction, right? So there's lots of documentaries of people and their addictions and recovery and what they did to overcome, but there's no documentaries about the businesses that are nonprofit and how they started and how they got there, and they help people, and a lot of people. I can't find a single. There's stories to tell behind that. Like who grabs the first piece of paper and goes, okay, we're going to start this company. We're going to help people.
100%. No, that's really cool. I just shot a short doc for Victoria Brain Injury Society on one of the stories of one of their clients, and yeah, just thinking about it from that perspective, that's such a good idea. I love that.
Right?
I'm really
but it's always about the clients and the people and their recovery and what happens, which 100%. Is fine. And those stories are very important.
It's a good story to tell, people. But I love this story as well. 100%.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So I've been thinking about that kind of stuff a lot lately. And I think that's this year is really what I want to do.
Following that passion is, just so night and day difference in the the contents, right?
Like meaningful stories, right? Like
I love that. I love that for you, especially bringing up Mark Bone. That makes so much sense. And just knowing you, that makes a lot of sense. That's awesome, man. Okay, hate to bring it up. What's the response from you for Sora, the new AI video platform?
Yeah, I read some stuff about that. I saw some news and some obviously clickbaity stuff that people are posting. I think of it like this: when everyone's bringing up AI, and obviously it's a super hot topic and everything. And I think of it like this, just like anything else. Like, I don't think our jobs are going away anytime soon. I don't think filmmakers are going away. I think a little bit of it'll happen. But if you think about it, like, how long ago did social media come out and advertising and marketing online? How long ago and we can all agree that digital marketing works better than paper in your mailbox, right? So I still get flyers in my mailbox and I hate them. So that's still happening. And it's been 10 years. So I'm not, or more than that, right? More, right? So I don't think I'm worried that that's going to happen overnight or anything. I don't think it is. 100%. I don't think it's all, you know what I mean?
I think it's interesting hearing all the different perspectives, like the response. Cause I felt the exact same way. There's two things. So I'm not scared for my job at all. When you tell me about a doc that you're thinking about shooting, you can't get that story out of a prompt, right? So that doesn't scare me. But what I do think realistically can happen is the product videographer will go away. Like the product photographer and graphic designer that job is not going away, but it is definitely up in the air right now. So I think that's just interesting. On another aspect, I really liked how they didn't release it to the public yet. I'm sure they will eventually, but I don't see it too soon. So I liked how they did that. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then another thing is I was just shooting a conference for like some of the smartest retail owners, Microsoft, IBM, Google, all of the leaders in retail, North America. And the conversation that kept happening was about AI, obviously. But one thing somebody said that really stuck out to me is, and this isn't just to do with Sora, I guess this is just AI and bringing it into our industry, but he's going from the filing cabinet and was afraid of the internet. So now he's telling his workers, don't be afraid of the internet going to the AI because you're just going to be behind, simply put. So from a videographer standpoint, I love AI and being able to, I'm sure you've seen it, the transitions with like a clock, for instance, where it goes into like a clock tower and then just snaps to like 100 different images. You can't do things like that easily, at least. It's a whole different can of worms 3-4 years ago. So I'm not afraid of Sora because I think for our job, it's going to take away a few things, maybe like the B-roll drone shot, maybe. But it's never going to take away the interviews and the creative process and
stories.
Things
like
that,
people want stories, and it's kind of like anything else, like all the CGI and like all that stuff's been out for so long, and all these movies that are full just graphics and full animation. And I mean, it's not like it's going to take over and it's going to be just that. There's always going to be people that want real, genuine stuff. I like a lot of older, like 80s movies and stuff because it's real. Like I love the real stunts and Jackie Chan and stuff, like the real stuff. I actually don't
couldn't
love
agree more.
CGI.
It's almost like a
that much,
conversation
right?
of like animation again, just in general.
Yeah.
Like from cartoon to CGI, I guess animation is all.
And being a
I'm just
commercial
curious.
guy,
I don't
like,
know too much about it. I'm curious how it works. So I know you could throw a prompt into Sora being like, hey, I want a video of Bill Gates explaining this. Because they have his voice, they have his image. But how would it work? Sorry. For example, a client from like LinkedIn who has no social media presence, who wants to start that. If it gets to the level of being able to take like a profile photo and you send in a quick voice demo and they can create a video from it, then we'll probably have to worry. But
yeah,
I don't think it's at that level yet. I don't know, but
no, I think we're so far off from that, from being able to like just fully and not notice and not know that it's, you know.
Did you
like
see some of the examples from Sora?
Yeah, they're pretty crazy. Yeah, it's
like the 4K render.
Right.
It's not even
totally.
Like it's not even noticeable. Like the one that hit me the most, I think, was the Japanese road where the camera craned down for a follow shot. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you that was the rendering.
Yeah, you're right. Stuff's pretty insane nowadays, but it still can't make things like I would say, if it's like you said, like say you had somebody that's uncomfortable on camera and you want to do an interview or whatever. I guess you could essentially get their thing, like stand here for a minute, we're gonna scan you, or however it works to get their images and everything, and go, okay, well, we don't need you anymore. Just type us what you want to say, and then we're done. And then we just make it all happen, right? They sign here and it just all happens, and they go, oh, wow, looks like I was on camera for 10 minutes and I never was. So, I mean, maybe
it's interesting.
Stuff like
I don't know
right?
if it's going to be that soon,
Right?
Or maybe that's why Sora wasn't released to the public.
A long time for that.
I just think it's an interesting conversation. I'm just interested in stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have to be, right, to stay consistent or up to date, sorry.
Of course, yeah, especially in this industry. It's changing extremely fast.
All right, Chris, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yeah, I got,
Yeah, so what was your first camera?
So first camera ever, has a little bit of a story behind it, and it's not a digital camera. So my dad passed away when I was young.
Tell me more.
And he was a great photographer, just a hobby but he was good. And he had a camera collection. No idea to this day what happened to that old camera, like old accordion style cameras, like really old, huge collection. No idea what happened to that. But when he passed away, I got given this camera bag, and inside the camera bag, it had a Canon A1, which like 35 millimeter A1, cool. Which I don't know if you know, it's cool. All Japanese, everything made in Japan, and it is, back in its day, it was top of the line for what it was for a 35 millimeter camera. It actually had a battery in it, which was crazy back then. And it came along with a 50 mil and a 28, and a lens that I use right now still is a Helios 44-2, which most people know. And the story behind it is, when I got that camera from my dad, when he passed away, it was almost the only thing I got, and a little brown camera bag. And my brother-in-law at the time, he was going to university to take photography, right? He's an artist, and one of the things he had to do was photography. And at the time, he didn't have a camera and didn't have the money to get a camera. So right after I got this, I gave him that camera. So way back when I was like, 14, 15 years old, I gave him this, and it's the only thing I had from my dad. So I gave that to him, and time went by. Years later, I am 42 now. Last summer, I saw him, and for the first time since then, pretty much, I think I saw him one time in between then. So it's been about 15-20 years since I've seen him, and he came here. He's in Toronto, and he came out here to the island to visit. First time I've seen him, and I said hi. It was good to see him and his family, and I looked down, and there it is, brown camera bag with the camera, and he gave it back to me and That's awesome. Said thank you, and it was a huge moment for me. Obviously, I'm in tears, like totally forgot about this camera and everything, and he said thank you. This camera got me to where I am today, and he's actually owns his own company and is a huge artist. He makes like huge art sculptures for buildings like downtown Toronto. You see like a big sculpture outside of a skyscraper. That's really him, cool. Right? So that got him through photography school, and it was a big moment. So that was my first camera, a Canon A1. Yeah, that's really cool to hear the effect that your dad's camera had on you and him. Yeah, and to this day, I still have not taken it. That was just in the summer, so I still haven't taken it anywhere. I'd like to take it to Kerrisdale or somewhere that can fully clean it, fix it, and make sure it's all working, get it functioning, and take my first picture with it, because I've never taken a picture with it. So I think that'd be great to do. Yeah, that was really cool. I love that story. I have not a similar story, but just as a camera that my dad gave me that he grew up with, all of his shenanigans when he was younger. He carried around this camera, and he finally gave it to me a year or two ago, and it's not the same, but even that means so much to me. So that's really cool. For sure. It's those moments, right? All right, so if you had one focal length to choose from for the rest of your life, what would you choose? I would say like practical 35, but I love bokeh, so I'm gonna say bokeh. I don't know. Is there a proper way to say it? Bokeh. I'm not. I think 50. Let's just say 50 with like a T2. Yeah, right. Let's go 50 mil. I really like. Right, it's right in the middle. I can still get what I want and stand back a little further, but yeah, no, it's good. 50 mil. What's your favorite movie? Count of Monte Cristo. Nice. Okay, who's your favorite director? I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but Daniel Sekheim, maybe. Sekheim's like Walking Dead, Ozark, Jack Ryan, which I love. Oldies would be like X-Files, Glass House. That's cool. Nice. It's kind of cool. He's also a really good photographer, like super like white and black abstract stuff. Like he's got a good. So yeah, it's kind of neat. I have this weird. That's really cool. I love Ozarks, obviously, and I love X-Files. So that's interesting. Right? I didn't know that there was. Yeah. Because I know Jason Bateman is directing on Ozarks, but there's all different. Totally there's different directors and people. Else. Yeah, totally. And same with Jack Ryan. Right? Same with Jack Ryan. There's different directors and stuff, but he's one of them. There's some other girl too. But you know, he's one. I mean,
That's cool,
Scorsese's super, like, he's dope too. Like Casino,
Of course,
and
yeah.
Aviator, Wolf of Wall Street, everything, right? So he's great. And then Killers of the
Yeah,
Flower
there's-
Moon. I haven't seen that yet, but it looks incredible. Like the scenes, like everything.
I haven't
Oh
seen
my
that
God,
either.
it
Yeah,
looks
I
so
do
good.
want to see that. Yeah.
So
What are your thoughts? For side question. What are your thoughts on Tarantino?
I'm not a fan. Like I mean, just not my style, right? I don't know. It just never makes sense to me. But that's just me. I don't know. I've tried, you know, Kill Bill, whatever, and just other ones, and every time I just get lost, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. It looks
I can
weird.
appreciate it, but I can't
Totally.
get into it, if you know what I mean.
Yep, same.
What's your favorite travel spot?
Locally, Hornby Island. Further than that, recently we just did a trip to Thailand. Absolutely love it. Fell in love right away. It's obviously beautiful, right? Most parts, and we felt really safe there for just about everywhere we went. Never felt unsafe, which is one of the biggest things, right? When you're traveling around in the other side of the world. Yeah.
What's your favorite time of day to shoot? I think I know which one it isn't.
I mean, most is going to be, it's going to be golden hour for sure if I'm filming outside. Obviously, a controlled environment, it wouldn't matter, but yeah, golden hour is just, right? You're going to get all that stuff. And I would say morning more than anything. I really love I've got a spec that we wrote about, or just started writing about, and it's all going to be done just early morning scene with some horses and stuff like that. So like in my head, I'm picturing like, you know, the breath from the horses and the super early sun and super dark and everything, right? So
A little bit of fog.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah.
Or, dew. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, both, yeah.
What's your favorite backdrop? Nature or city?
I would have to say nature. Yeah, if I'm choosing between the two, nature for sure. Yeah.
What ignited your filming your bug in under 5 words?
Helping others share their stories.
Nice. I love that answer. Okay, last question. Would you rather win the lottery and retire, or would you keep creating?
I mean, that is a tough one because then I could just travel. But no, I think I want to keep filming and creating for sure. I mean, and I know that because I used to have a job that I made way more money than I'm making right now. And it wasn't even that difficult, and I made good money, and I wasn't, you know, lottery money, but you know what I mean? Like I left that to make way less to do something I love at this point anyway.
So that's kind of a final question. It's kind of one that I skipped over, but so hard to put into words. But what do you think about the quote unquote normal job versus the creative job or path that we've both gone down? Any regrets?
No, I wouldn't say. And I still do, to be perfectly honest, I still do work part-time at a shop. So at an auto shop, it's, you know, it helps out for sure, especially in between projects and stuff like that. So I do that still, city. Right? And yeah, exactly. Right. So, no, not at all. I really love it. I love what I do. And I'm glad I'm on this path. It's going to take a while to get to where I want to be, but yeah, I'm totally ready to do it and keep going.
Awesome. I could not be happier with this conversation, Chris. It's amazing talking with you, obviously, but yeah, it's been great just hearing your answers and perspectives on a number of things. So thank you so much for your time. There's probably going to be an episode 2 with Chris. So yeah,
Let's talk
go
about
follow Chris on all the social medias. What's your tags?
Instagram is Volare, VOLARE.media. So Volare Media. And then Facebook's volaremedia.net. And then just Volare Media. You just Google Volare Media and you'll see all our stuff. It's, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. This has been great. Thank you so much for having me.